Is there anything that you don't like about Malaysia?
A lot of Malaysians are gonna kill me right now.
Nordin is an Australian who converted to Islam and moved to Malaysia 30 years ago. Now he's running multiple businesses in Kuala Lumpur. Nordin told me whether a foreigner could be accepted in Malaysian society, the no things to do here, and must visit spots in Malaysia that you don't find in travel guidebooks. I'm Max, entrepreneur and YouTuber from Singapore. Let's go! You've been to Singapore many times.
Yeah.
What's common Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, and what's different?
For me, the similarities are food, culture, and language, and the kind of multilingual reality of everybody. Everyone speaks a whole bunch of languages and can construct sentences in multiple languages in a kind of known and accepted grammar structure of 2 or 3 languages, which is kind of fun. Malaysians and Singaporeans share that common trend. They know where to eat. They know where to eat.
Yeah.
So whether, and the amazing thing is you can have someone from, whether it's the Malaysian upper echelon in terms of businessman and politician, you will find them in these kind of small stalls. I still remember I bumped into one of the richest men in Malaysia at one of my favorite roti canai places with his friends, and they're having a great time. I don't know what they were discussing, but it was completely natural that they were there, and nobody bothered them, and it was very natural. So I think there's still that deep connection to food, and it almost doesn't matter how expensive it is. It has to be good, whether it's cheap or cost effective or high-end stuff. Malaysians, Singaporeans love that food. In terms of difference, of course, Singapore is a more regulated business environment. It is more efficient, but it's also more expensive. So now you've got to weigh up that level of productivity versus the level of the cost.
Yeah.
So it's actually this battle that goes on all the time.
What's the a no thing in Malaysia?
Race, religion, and royalty. Avoid these. You can have the discussions, but be respectuous at the same time. If you ask me if you're a foreigner and you're trying to understand race, religion, and royalty, ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions. You will learn more. You'll be surprised whether you meet a Malaysian who is a Muslim, or Malaysian who's a Hindu, or Malaysian who's a Christian, or any one of another different religions that are here. You'll be surprised of the religious knowledge that each of these people have of the different religions. You'll actually learn, you'll be able to catch a lot from these people, and the way they speak about it is usually very respectuous.
Yeah.
And I think protecting that harmony is really a core value of Malaysians. And I think that is something that, whether you are young or old, male, female, in the kampongs, in the village, or in the city, you'll find that kind of run through the DNA of most Malaysians.
I saw the interview of one French guy who's been living in Singapore for 30 years or something, and he said in Singapore people coexist, different ethnicities coexist with each other. They kind of don't mix, like rajak salad. They don't mix, but they coexist, and that's the thing about Singapore. Is it the same about Malaysia?
I call this the 1957 narrative. I don't know if I just made it up. If someone uses it, quote me. The 1957 narrative is there's a whole bunch of races and they all came together. If you sit down and have a chat with most Malaysians, and probably the same with Singaporeans, after an hour of some good coffee and a few different kueh or some nasi lemak, you'll say, actually, my great-grandfather was Chinese, and he's a Malay guy. Actually, my grandmother was Indian. Actually, my father is half Thai or part Sarawakian. And you will realize that while on the first layer they may present as Chinese or Malay or Indian, then you start to realize actually there's massive diversity even in that thing, and then you realize there's a level of DNA diversity as well as cultural diversity. So I think that exists, but at the same time, I think what you're seeing now is, 2 or 3 generations on from independence, more intermarriage, more families have come together in terms of their children are now, this term Chindian, which is half Indian, half Chinese. And then you look at a Chindian kid and he's like, hey man, he looks Malay. They're like gorgeous kids, and you're like, hey, Okay, wait a second. Where are we again?
Hey guys, Max is here. If you want to support me and my work, please just subscribe to the channel, like this video. I'll be super happy. I'll be showing you more interesting people in the future. Thank you so much. 3 top advice for a foreigner or expat come to Malaysia and want to assimilate here, or at least like to do business in Malaysia.
Just invest the time in a cup of coffee or a teh tarik. Some people will like to drink other beverages, which I won't mention. But make sure it's the beverage of choice of the guy you want to, guy or girl that you're talking with. And just arrange to sit down and discuss. Learn about the person first and learn about their business second. Because there's a lot of family business in Malaysia. There's a lot of business that's related to, let's say, for example, the halal industry. It may relate to someone's religious beliefs as well. So you've got to understand their motivations and that kind of stuff. In the West, you call it knowing your customer. But in Malaysia, it's called sitting down and having a cup of coffee.
What foreigners should understand about Malaysia, and what foreigners don't get about Malaysia?
I think sometimes foreigners are in a rush. We see with a lot of the business delegations that come in, they're here to sell. Like, okay, come buy my carpets, buy my light bulbs, buy my mangoes, whatever it is, they're in a rush to sell. Malaysia, like most of Asia, is about relationships. So you've got to build those relationships. Once you have those relationships, it's hard to go wrong in Malaysia. Whenever things are going well, keep your relationships. When things go wrong also, Malaysians are the first to like, hey, let me help you out, lah, bro. It's kind of a little bit more helpful there. What the problem is, it's still trying to understand the cultural differences. And then some people don't understand, of course, the different racial groups, the different religions and all this. Sometimes it's their first encounter with a foreign country. So it's a learning experience for you. So I think don't be in a rush to learn.
Is it difficult to assimilate in Malaysia for a foreigner?
You as an individual have to make certain decisions. Are you coming here to say, I know better than everybody else and trying to impose your way on them? That's a recipe for disaster wherever you go in the world. So don't apply that model. So if you apply the model that you're here to do business and you're looking for mutual benefit, I think that's a good way forward. Malaysians are quick learners. They always, so many of them go overseas, travel and as well as overseas education. They're not afraid of foreigners. There's no like xenophobia, like, oh, this guy is from somewhere, I've never been there. What they'll be happy to know is if there's somebody who is interested in their culture, interested in their ways. Other thing is learn some of the language. I mean, even like day one, show up, know something. Like learn it on the plane. Malay is a really easy language to learn. Even if you get it wrong, you've tried. If you take the first step, Malaysians will take 2 steps.
What would be your top 3 places to go in Malaysia? Maybe not so obvious.
I would always recommend that you should go to Sarawak. Sarawak is an amazing place. Maybe it's the orangutan and the jungle and all that kind of stuff that I love. At the same time, I'm a big fan of Langkawi. I think everyone talks about Langkawi. And then you'd be surprised. Actually, there's this place I really love visiting. It's a place called Sekinchan. It's kind of a touristy thing. Like mostly locals will go there. You can get like really good seafood. It's like an hour and a half drive from KL. There's these gorgeous rice fields and it's beside the ocean as well. So if you go there at the right time of year when it's green, the sky is blue, you can take these amazing photos. And there's just something about looking at a big, massive rice field that just relaxes you. That would be my off the radar kind of place that I like to go. And you can get like these really amazing mango shakes underneath this big mango tree. And it's like you've been out in the hot sun the whole day and you've gone here and there and everywhere. And you sit under this mango tree with a whole bunch of people. It's like ice and mango. And it's like they take this massive mango, puree it. It's pure mango. So this kind of stuff, again, and I think it's not even going to cost you $1 US or something. It's just amazing experience, and you're just able to kind of get out of KL. Sometimes you just want to get out of the city and have a bit of a relaxing time. So it's kind of fun.
What's your favorite food in Malaysia?
Actually, I always loved roti canai, but I've got to cut down because of the, you've got a side angle going on there, roti canai nasi lemak is always good. There's so much good food if you get out of KL as well. Up on the east coast, one of this is like kind of like a sausage called keropok lekor, made out of kind of fish. It's almost like a fish sausage. You can't imagine it. Eat it with some chili sauce. Love it.
Is there anything that you don't like about Malaysia?
A lot of Malaysians are gonna like kill me right now. I just can't get the idea of durian into my head. I've been here for 30 years, and like every once in a while I will try durian again.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. And I know it's the king of fruits and all this kind of stuff, but I know there's a lot of foreigners who just are almost addicted to this stuff. And Malaysians, of course, is like 90%, Although there's some Malaysians who are in my team who are not big durian fans, but I don't know what it is. That's kind of the only thing I can't assimilate. We say in Malay, mat saleh. I can't assimilate my mat saleh brain to durian. It just doesn't work. There's something with the DNA of a durian and the DNA of a Nordin. It just doesn't match.
You remember your first impressions?
Malaysia was definitely a developing country 30 years ago. When you first arrive it wasn't KLIA, it was Subang Airport. And not Subang Airport as we know it today. Subang Airport now is for like private jets and helicopters, and it's a gorgeous little spot. So for all those high-end guys who are flying in, you're landing in Subang. But in those days, the road from Subang Airport to the hotel where we're staying in downtown KL, there was a whole bunch of rumah tinggang, which is kind of like, we call them shanty towns, but it was like temporary housing. This like really corrugated iron roofs, and I was like, wow, we really came to the developing world. Now, if you want to live along that road, you have to be a millionaire. The development of that corridor has been amazing, and that's just one story of development. Now, I think you can see, not in the background, but there's, I don't know how many tall buildings there are. I always joke the tallest building at that time was the Maybank building. Now I kind of like challenge people. One, have you ever heard of the Maybank building? And two, can you see it in the skyline? Because it's just so much, the skyline has just expanded. Property has boomed in Malaysia. Business has definitely developed. And there's just plenty of opportunity for growth for businesses. And the amazing part, and if you go up to the top of some of these buildings and you look down, you still see there's a lot of greenery in the urbanscape, which is wonderful. I think, of course, Singapore is also trying to do the same, that garden city approach. KL still has it in terms of like parks like this, and I've been here for 30 years. I had a friend who lived literally like 200 meters down the road. I didn't even know that this place existed until you found it. And I was like, wow. So there's still hidden gems within the city.
Do you know Nomad Capitalist YouTube channel? The guy is American. His idea is like, okay, you choose where to live, where to pay taxes, and you weight all the criteria for you, like lifestyle, cost of living, and stuff. He actually chosen to live in KL because he said like, KL is the best ratio for like cost of living, good hub, and everything else.
Exactly. Just exactly. You know, and it's all about the ratios. And you see a lot of, especially Europeans, I've noticed, a bunch of them just come and retire to Malaysia.
Yeah.
Whether it's Kuala Lumpur or Penang, Germans love Langkawi for some reason. There's a bunch of them here that it's just a great equation for them. And I think that, especially now that there's a lot better healthcare available, private healthcare in Malaysia, some good global brands in terms of healthcare providers. And Malaysia has also become a medical tourism hub. So there's also expatriates from Asia. So you've got top-end Indian investors coming to live here. People from Bangladesh, from China, these are I would call them the millionaire class coming to invest in Malaysia and wanting to live here. That coupled with the education. You've got 60 international schools here, I think, over 60 international schools.
All over Malaysia.
All over Malaysia. Of course, concentrated a lot in the Klang Valley, KL. And then you've got top universities. Of course, I will always talk about the Australian university like Monash and Swinburne. And even if you bring your family, you can educate them through top international schools. And live in Malaysia, cost of living is low. You can be in Phuket for the weekend, or Bali if you want, or go skiing in Korea for the weekend, very cheaply. So in terms of that high-end global citizen, Malaysia does offer a lot at a very good price.
YouTube thinks this is the best video for you. If it's bad, it's not my fault. Blame YouTube, so go check it out.